I hate politics and I don't like getting political, but like the one thing that I don't understand why people seem to still not understand in the year 2025 is that there is no such thing as politics. Like it doesn't even exist anymore. There's no political parties. How do people not get that? Like with all the BS that's been going on with every country too. It's not just the US, but like do people still actually believe that they have choices, that it's actually the left versus the right, and you have these supposed parties? Like, how do people keep falling for that? It's all a scam. It's always been a scam. And not maybe not at the beginning, but definitely now it's just getting worse and worse. It's 100% a scam. And like, how do people not see that? Like, people go and vote and they think they're making a difference, and you have all these, like, it's all just money. It's just money and power, and nobody gives a shit about the people. And like it's just so stupid. Like you can look at the individuals, at least maybe there are some individuals trying to make differences, and like how much of a difference they're making, I don't really know. But when it comes to the bigger picture, it's all a scam. It's all money. And I'm pretty sure it was the comedian Ari Shafir who, in a clip years ago, I don't know, I think it was like a five years ago or something, he was doing some interview sitting on some couch with some guy, and he was literally talking about how politics, it's all bullshit, it's all a scam, and it never makes a difference, especially in North America. And if you ever want to see change, this was his words, not mine. He was talking about how you have to kill the politicians. And he was being dead serious. Or at least I'm pretty sure he was being dead serious. And the interviewer even asked him, like, oh, you must be joking. He's like, no, I'm not. I'm being dead serious. Like, anywhere in the world, if you look, anytime there's any kind of major political change, any kind of regime change, you have the people rise up against the system, against the government, and they literally kill some people, kill some politicians, those corrupt assholes who need to be removed, you know? And then the other thing he was mentioning, which is obviously 100% factual as well, you cannot have a political system, you cannot run for politics, you cannot have these so-called parties when it's all just money-based and money-funded. There should be zero money involved with government. And when I say that, I don't mean the actual governing of a country. Obviously, you need money and finances. I'm talking about the whole running for politics, the whole running for these parties and all these associations they make, the corporations they work with. They're all in somebody's pocket. And then there's that famous picture of like Barack Obama when he comes into power. I mean, not that he was ever good to begin with. I mean, who knows? Some people think he was. But he comes into power, a young, decent-looking guy, and after 8 years, he looks old as hell, wrinkly as hell, white hair, because it's just like the shit's been beaten out of him as a president. Mentally, obviously, not physically. Obviously. But yeah, how do people fall for this shit? Every country is the same. It's all just corruption. And like people think their votes make a difference. They don't, unfortunately. They really don't. That's if your vote is even being counted, if it's not a scam to begin with. And of course, jump on the conspiracy bandwagon, whatever. There's so many people who believe this anyways. And there has been some evidence of the whole tampering and the stupid machines in Florida and all that famous shit. Everyone already knows about that. So, like, what the hell is this? Like, stop thinking it's real. It's not. It's all bullshit. And somehow I'm going to tie this into AI, which is I'm going to do right now, which is not that long ago I was talking this very topic. I was I was fucking talking to ChatGPT, trying to be all like philosophical or whatever and asking it questions. And of course, it's just AI and good old OpenAI and Sam Altman and who knows what the hell he's up to. But anyways, my point was people are evil, people are corrupt, and when you get into power, it's even worse. When you get into politics and high up government, it's even worse. And there was another, I wish I could remember the comedian's name. There was another guy who had this joke basically saying that there are people who don't believe in literally any conspiracy theories, or even if you don't call it a conspiracy theory, they think their government, forget conspiracy theory. There are people who think that their governments care about them. They don't lie to them. They don't hide stuff from them. There are actually some people out there that are honestly that naive. and they think the government is their friend and that they're watching out for them. And then this comedian was making a joke thinking, you really think that when a government is literally in charge of millions and millions of people, and they're not lying, they're not cheating, they're not hiding stuff, they're not laundering money, they're not scamming people, they're not doing something corrupt. And he was literally giving an example of his own son. He's like, I have only one son, and I'm only in charge of one human being. And he's like, I lie to that kid all the time. So, of course, like, are you kidding me? Like, people, I don't know. If you're that dumb and naive, honestly, then you'll never wake up anyways. You're going to stay that government sheep forever, that mentality, which is fine, whatever. There's no hope for you, so fine. But if you're just living in the system, which all of us are pretty much, 90% of us, you're stuck. You're stuck in the system. And what is the system? What is the government? It's the exact same thing as the Matrix. I always go back to the Matrix because it's a fucking epic film, and it describes life perfectly. It explains our situations perfectly, and that's exactly what it is. Our life is the Matrix. The government is the Matrix. Too much overreach, too much corruption, too much power, and everybody wants to do their own thing. Just like in the Matrix, you have like these symbols or whatever. You have the good characters and the bad kind of characters. You have the Oracle, you have the Architect, you have the Keymaster or the Keymaker, whatever it was. You have the other guy, the bodyguard, the protector, the Jet Li looking guy with the ninja moves. Then you had I forget his name, the French dude, the Meraviglia or whatever his name was. So everyone has these characters and roles and everything. But yeah, it's like, it's corrupt and it's deep and it's complex, and you can't have that. And this also ties back into that same shit I've talked about a million times. Human beings, we're not meant to live like this. We're not meant to be governed in this fashion with these millions of rules and these giant cities. The human brain isn't wired for that. We're supposed to be small communities where people are just taking care of themselves, taking care of each other in small 100 to 200 people little areas, or whatever you want to call them. Tribes, mini communities. That's the way humans have evolved. So, and everyone always says the same thing. Well, that was the past, and like times have changed, and this and that. And I get that, of course, yes. But still, it's too fast. You can't take a human species, the human being, and have them do the same thing for thousands of years in these small knit communities, and then within the last 100 to 150 years, dump us into these ginormous metropolitan cities, condominiums, buildings, apartments stacked on top of each other, rats living in a maze. That's all it is. And you can't control, people's brains can't handle it. And that's why mental health exists. And that's why you have all these crazy stabbings and random shootings and all these fucked up things happening, and nobody can explain why. Oh, that person was just troubled, or that person had this or that. They've done experiments like this. You can't take a rat and just keep piling him into a box. One rat's okay, 5 rats are okay, 10 rats even in a big box, okay. But when you double, triple, quadruple that, when you put 100 rats into a box, they start attacking each other. They start killing each other. They start going crazy because it's not normal. Manhattan, New York, that's not normal. Having that many people living close to each other, living on top of each other, and constantly walking right next to each other on a daily basis. Nobody knows anybody. Nobody cares about anyone. That's how the government is too. They don't care. We're just numbers to them. Nobody cares about us. Nobody gives a shit. We're just, what do you call it, cogs in a system, or wheels in this big giant machine. Like, that's all it is. But more importantly, going back to politics, I guess, because I love going off topic, is specifically with politics, there's no such parties. The left is just as corrupt as the right. The right is just as corrupt as the left. They all have their own ideologies. And it does seem to get worse more recently, because how are all these politicians whose salaries are supposed to be in the hundreds of thousands of dollars going into politics, going into government, and then coming out years later as multi-millionaires? And that's definitely not a conspiracy. We already know there's tons of insider trading. There's all this stock manipulation and all this shit. Nobody gives a fuck. Nobody cares. The rich get richer, the poor get poor. And that's just how it is. And so at least accept it. I'm not fighting up against the system. I'm stuck in the system. At least I understand it. So don't be naive. Don't play along. Don't be dumb and think that you're like part of this amazing system, or that you understand the system, or that, the politicians are all your friend. And you have like one or two random, what do you call them? Like good people or whatever. You have like, I don't even know for sure. RFK seems to be doing good. Everyone thought at the beginning Donald Trump was going to be good. People thought Obama was going to be good. And who knows? I remember hearing this on one of JRE's podcasts. he was talking about how you go into like, maybe they have good intentions, and a lot of these presidents or whatever, they go into power, they go into political positions wanting to change, being naive themselves to like how the system actually works and how deep it goes. And then, a couple guys in black suits show up and they're just like, a little bit of chit chat, a little bit of shut the fuck up and do what you're told, or else, we're gonna make your life a living hell. They're just puppets. They're just puppets. Clinton was a puppet. Bush was a puppet. Obama was a puppet. If Clinton had won, she definitely would have been a puppet. Kamala Harris would have been the biggest puppet out of all of them. Donald Trump, still a puppet. The only difference with him, I guess, it seems like he's got the balls to actually do stuff. And maybe because he already has quite a lot of power and money, he has a little more leeway or whatever, but he's still a puppet. He's still controlled. And if they wanted to get rid of him, they would. It's not that hard to get rid of him. The people, the real people in power, way up high or whatever you want to call it, you know who I'm talking about. Those agencies could easily take care of anybody. Anybody. Look how easily they took care of Charlie Kirk. A freaking microphone gun in his lapel. Poof. His head's blown off. He wasn't shot. Why was Charlie Kirk killed? Because he was getting into politics slowly. He was getting very loud with his voice, becoming a little too popular, getting a little too political. And he was definitely going to be running for politics. And that's what scared the system. So just like in The Matrix, the agents had to shut him down. Charlie Kirk could have potentially been the next Neo or Morpheus or one of those main characters. And so what does the system do? They send in Agent Smith and his goons, and they got to take him out. That's just how it works, because we live in the Matrix, which again is just a simulation. It always comes back to the same shit. It's always tied back into the simulation and the Matrix, and that's what we live inside. Now, again, most likely it is an actual simulation, but I mean, that's just my belief. Who knows? But that's just the way it is. Like, I mean, I don't know what else to say. Like, the amount of corruption, if you dig just a little, you don't even need to dig deep. Go on social media and just watch a few reliable accounts, a few influencers or whatever you want to call them now. They're still technically reporters. They're news people. They're just not mainstream. You can't listen to mainstream. Forget that. If you're still listening to mainstream media, then you're just being brainwashed. That's like the dumbest thing. I'm not even going to go there. That's how retarded that is. But if you spend like less than 10 minutes and just look at a few clips online, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, whatever, it's all there. No one's even hiding anymore. That's the hilarious part. It's not hidden. And the older generations, it's too late for them. If you're anything over like 70, 80, forget about it. If you're in your 50s and 60s, you're probably still too just, I don't know, you're just too stuck in the system. You're too far gone anyways. It's too late to make any relevant change or whatever you want to call it. Your mentality, I don't want to say you're brainwashed. I mean, people see it, but I mean, it's the younger generations that just need to wake up more. That's all it is. And even that's risky and dangerous, because if in the Matrix, if you try to step up like Neo did, when you have these Charlie Kirk type characters who suddenly open up their eyes, even Charlie Kirk, he wasn't actually awake. Most of his time, he was very, he had his own views, he had his own take, he said his own shit, whatever. But then in the last year or two, what did he start doing? He started asking a little too many questions. He started talking about the little tiny country in the Middle East that's stirring up a lot of bullshit. And what happened as soon as that happened? Well, we know what happened. So you got to be careful. Neo is always going to be targeted. So, and there are very few Neos, don't get me wrong. Very, very few Neos. But you don't have to be a Neo. You don't actually have to do what Neo did, because that's impossible. It's very hard. I wouldn't say impossible, but it's very hard. You will get shut down. But at least be awake to the fact and accept that it is bullshit. And accept that you know it's bullshit. Because you know it's bullshit. You live in the Matrix. The agents are all around us. And keep in mind still, a lot of these people aren't even real people. They're just NPCs. You have real players, you have NPCs. I don't even think there's a way to tell them apart. I don't think you can tell who's a player, who's an NPC. I think I'm a player, but I could very easily be an NPC. An NPC is just a program. You're programmed, just like in the Matrix. You're functioning, you have a role. You might not be an actual real person inside the Matrix. Whether you're tethered in there, you're linked into it from the outside, or if there's just more powerful programs than others. Neo was a person on the outside, but a program on the inside because we're all programs, but he could come in and out. And we're all just stuck inside this matrix. And politics is the biggest scam inside of our matrix. Political parties, that is. The government technically could function properly if it was well run, well organized, well funded, in a proper way where they actually care about the people and they take care of the people, listen to the people. The government is supposed to be by the people, for the people, which everybody knows as well. But now it's not. Countries are just run by money and specifically by corporations. That's all it is. There's no more governance. If we could achieve, like, even communism, oh my God, people talk so much shit about communism because they don't even know what communism actually is. Because communism, if you had pure communism functioning at its ultimate level, like its uber perfectness, whatever you want to call it, it wouldn't even be communism. It would technically be utopia. A utopian society is basically a modification of what communism is supposed to be. And people think they've seen communism. They think Russia is communist or was communist. They think China is communist or was communist. Cuba, communist. No, none of those countries were communist because none of them thrived, and there were still millionaires and billionaires in those countries, and you still had class division. So how can that even be communism? How do you think that works? When we're talking about equality across the board, we're talking about everybody having the bare necessities. We're talking about everybody having food and shelter and at least a chance of education, healthcare, etc. None of those countries had that. Nothing like that has ever come close to existing. So communism itself, aside from the textbook definition technically, it's been manipulated and changed around, and it's not what people think it is, and it's not what it's supposed to be at all. Because pure true communism doesn't even exist, and it can't exist technically, because what you want is a utopianism or utopian society. And what is a utopian society? A utopian society is just a world where the people are taken care of. And you don't even necessarily have to say, oh, get rid of capitalism. Capitalism itself, even though it is technically evil and does not function properly and it causes a lot of issues, you need like a modified version of communism with capitalism, which would technically be like a perfect utopia. You can't have single entities that are controlling the majority. You can't have the majority of the wealth being controlled by the few. If you had it more leveled out, more controlled, more transparency, more oversight, and the bare minimums in life could easily be achieved. Any government in the world could have orchestrated this and forced it where every single person should have food, shelter, education, healthcare. That's beyond like the bare minimum. Like everybody can see that. Everybody understands that. That's like, if you can't see that, then you're just blinded by years and years of brainwashing. And again, we talk about like distribution of wealth. You can have rich people or people who have more. You're always going to have that. People are always going to want more. But you don't need one person with endless amounts of money. You don't need literally trillionaires. You don't need multi-billionaires who have money and they're literally hoarding it. And I've heard this example a million times, and it's one of the simplest, most beautiful examples when it comes to like animals and the animal kingdom and all that. If, like just you right now, if you went to a zoo, which is hilarious, but you go to a zoo, you see a giant cage or whatever, and there's a monkey exhibit. Let's say there's monkeys in a zoo. It's just whatever. It's just building, it's a cage, whatever, just like a real zoo. So you got monkeys. The monkeys eat bananas. Good old famous banana monkey, whatever. If you saw one monkey with 100 bananas, literally hoarding it, right? They're hoarding these bananas, and there's like 9 other monkeys that are starving to death, trying to get bananas or whatever, and they're not getting them. You as a person right now, knowing everything you know about our society, about our world, about our governments, about our systems, all that shit, if you see that monkey, you'd be like, there's something wrong with that monkey. That monkey is not being fair. That monkey is mental health issues. That monkey is evil. That monkey is fucked up. Why isn't that monkey sharing the bananas with the rest of the monkeys? It should be divided equally. Why is it when you look at a monkey, an animal in a zoo, that's the thought process that goes through your brain? If you are anywhere close to being a decent human being, if you're anything even remotely close to being a decent human being, you are not going to look at that monkey and be like, yeah, good for that monkey. He has 10 bananas and the other monkeys are all literally starving and dying. And not even 10, let's say 100 bananas. He's got 100 bananas. He's big and strong and he's like strutting around. He's the alpha. No other monkey is getting a banana. They can't take it from that other banana. Maybe it's a giant gorilla. And so these monkeys are suffering. Any single human being, man, woman, and child, even a small child would look at that and be like, yo, that's fucked up. Why is that one monkey hoarding all the bananas? Let's help them out. Let's give the bananas to everyone. It should be equally distributed. So why can you look at an animal, whether it's a dog or a cat, a monkey, same shit. You can say that about the monkey in a zoo, but human beings, your own fellow human beings, your own brothers and sisters and your countrymen, your fellow earth dwellers, you look at around, you don't think that same shit with people? So why do you have these billionaires, soon to be trillionaires, doing the same thing that gorilla in the zoo is doing, hoarding all the monkeys, hoarding all the bananas? Does it make sense to you? No. So when it comes to music, when it comes to movies, when it comes to Hollywood, yeah, everything's nice there. We'll make it all look there. Philosophically, the message is always there, but nobody gives a shit in real life. Yeah, so that's my take on government and random bullshit about monkeys and bananas. You don't need hoarders. You can create a utopia. You can create like a Star Trek Federation type world where you don't even have money. You shouldn't even be having this system. This entire system of currency is corrupt. It doesn't work. You need some sort of system where, first of all, you shouldn't have to worry about housing. You shouldn't have to worry about food. You shouldn't have to worry about education. Why are you paying for education? Why should anybody have to pay for education? Education is to teach young people to grow up and contribute to society in a good way, in a prosperous way. Everybody should be like screaming at the top of their lungs to have proper free education for every child in the world. And can we afford to do that? Yes, we can. Because when you have these fucking trillion billionaires with all that fucking money, don't act like it's not possible. It is possible. People are just greedy, lazy, and selfish assholes. So yes, you can do it. You can very easily provide food for every single person in this world, shelter for every single person in this world. And then after that comes other stuff, okay? When you have like people trying to separate themselves into like, not necessarily these groups, but like not everybody wants to do the same thing, and that's fine. Not everybody, you have lazy people or whatever, but it's not even about lazy. Everyone has things they enjoy doing. People want to steer towards a certain field or whatever. Let them do that. Help each other grow as a society. So, man, I'm going off topic and I'm losing my train of thought. But yeah, it's possible. That's the biggest thing is, the biggest point is it's possible to do it. Everybody knows it, but nobody gives a shit. Nobody does anything about it. Because in Star Trek, same type of shit. You can have a federation of planets. You can have people who don't have to worry about housing and food and education. Those should be mandatory. And when it comes to government, it's the same thing. Government equals country, equals religion, equals the same thing. It's all just systems tying people down. A utopian world, a utopian country, a utopian government would be a government of this world where everybody is free to do what they want, in the sense that there's no borders, there's no limitations, that's the problem too. You have race, you have religion, you have these cultural wars, which in a way is fucked up. Yeah, culture is important and people love their cultures and shit, but if we didn't have that, we wouldn't be running into this problem. And thousands of years ago, when you're living in a small tribe, you didn't have fucking religious disputes. You didn't have these border disputes within your own tribe. So you need borderless countries, or continents rather. You need people being able to go live wherever they want. Everything would be able to, fuck's sake. Everything would work. It's just poorly designed. So how am I linking this back to AI again? So here we go. You know what you need? You need super smart AI, but you need it not to kill us, and you need it to take control. You literally need to take AI and artificial intelligence, assuming they don't kill us like fucking Terminator. You need to put AI in control. You need AI in power. If AI is the government and it's programmed to be fair to all human beings, again, similar to that iRobot movie, but not so much, but yeah, kind of. Will Smith, although he got canceled. But anyways, aside from that, iRobot, similar movies like that, we're talking about AI running the government. So AI, guess what? AI doesn't need money. AI isn't going to be greedy and hoard a bunch of billions of dollars. AI is programmed to be the government of a country. So let's say the United States of America gets rid of the president. We have no more president. We have an AI system which is literally just programmed to take care of its people equally, fairly, and to distribute wealth in a manner that is prosperous to the country as a whole. You don't need a president. You can still have the Senate. You can still have the, you know, technical like governors and all that shit. But the main system, if it's run by a government that is AI, but it's also programmed to just take care of its people, it will function much better than these corrupt assholes all over the world. Corrupt politicians, corrupt corporations. So yeah. So I guess the next presidential election that's coming up, vote for your local AI representative to take over and control the United States of America. I don't know. Your mom.